Let's chat.
It's hard.
You want to talk?
I know, that's disappointing.
Sit back. Let's work this
How's
out.
it going?
What are we
That's
doing
pretty
here?
good.
Where are you going?
Hey there. Wow.
It's not always easy. It's amazing if you think about it.
Let's think
This
about
seems
this.
strange.
I have some thoughts about that. Life is hard.
Trauma bonded.
And the prince and princess lived happily ever after. The end. Okay, baby T, time to go to sleep.
But what happens next?
What do you mean?
Do they get a dog?
Yes, yeah, they probably do get a dog.
Do they have kids?
Maybe, if they both want to.
Where do they live?
Well, in their castle, of course.
How do they pay for that castle?
I guess from the kindness and generosity of the people in the village.
I don't see that lasting long, right? Off with their heads.
Well,
And what about the prince's mental health? I mean, certainly he has some PTSD from that dramatic encounter with a dragon. He might even have a possible TBI.
TBI?
Traumatic brain injury, Mama. Remember chapter 14? When the dragon tail hits him so hard he falls unconscious?
Oh, yeah.
What about the princess? Doesn't she have any long-lasting effects from lung damage?
Why would she have lung damage?
Mama, yes. The prince eventually rescues her, but she was trapped in that burning tower for at least 40 pages.
Okay, yeah, you might have a point. But all you need to know is they work out all of these issues and live happily forevermore.
Oh, forever and ever? For all eternity? So they're immortal?
Yes. Well, no. They gracefully take their leave from the earth in their sleep at ripe old ages. Nothing for you to worry about.
Well, what do they die of? Because I'm certain that TBI might lead to early onset dementia.
Honey baby, where did you learn all of these grown-up words?
Blippi!
Welcome to Trauma Bonded. I'm Elly Westberg here with Therese Garcia.
Hello.
And today we're discussing episode 332 of the podcast. This is actually happening. What if the worst was yet to come? A brief synopsis. Our storyteller picks up where he left off at the end of his original episode 111, What If You Had to Relearn Who You Are? In that episode, the biggest takeaways are he's very affected by his parents' divorce and their seeming lack of care or interest for him during that period. He's traumatized by a teacher/mentor who grooms and assaults him when he's a teenager. This all causes him great distress and instability and has him questioning his own sexuality and identity. But there is a period at the end of this section of his life where he's feeling restored and has some healing. So this current episode, 332, he's in talk therapy and starts medication, and this medication seemingly sends him into a hypomania, and the mania comes out in varying extreme ways for some time. He has lots of bravado coupled with intense purpose, and there are a lot of colorful examples of what that looks like in the episode. I highly recommend listening to it because I can't do it justice in the summary. Eventually, through much effort and support, he's able to find sobriety and self-acceptance and now works within a vulnerable community. And full disclosure, I am the showrunner for This Is Actually Happening, and T knows nothing about anything. She comes in fresh. This show, Trauma/Bonded, is for the listeners. A space where we can talk about each episode, digest it, and reflect on it with empathy and also a bit of levity. That's Trauma Bonded. T, what stuck out to you is the heart of Anana Masa's story.
I went with one word on this one. I'm kind of second guessing it, but let's talk through it and see. I went with reclaimed.
Okay.
You know, through all of his examples and stories of what he's experiencing, he definitely felt lost, right? He lost his identity. He lost a sense of reality. And kind of going through all of this, he finally reclaimed all of that. He got back his personality, his values, and all those things. But thinking about it, it sounds like, this isn't the end of his story, right? It's going to continue. And of course, there's always going to be challenges and suffering throughout. But I still went with reclaimed. For this story, it seemed to have a happy ending, right?
Yeah, for now, yeah.
Because he's immortal.
Happily ever after, which sounds terrible.
Has a dog.
Isn't immortal? He has a dog.
Oh my God, awful.
See how the sketch relates to the episode?
Uh-huh.
Yes. Well, it sounds like he kind of got to a place of healing at the end of 111, and it felt like he still needed to reclaim a lot of what he felt was taken from him in childhood. And I feel like that's what he's gone through in this continuation. And he talks about it himself. That is one of the biggest hurdles to overcome, is what harmed us in childhood, and how do we reclaim a dream for ourselves we had then, if it hadn't been like brutally interrupted by some opposing traumatic, awful force.
Yeah.
How do we get back on that track we wanted to be on before it was kind of stolen away from us? That's good. Mine is stemming from that little cold open we did.
Oh.
We've all been conditioned by storytelling to expect an ending. And often that ending is like, before you hit 40, like when you're still hot, they're 33 and he doesn't keep a clean apartment, but she finds her way to his heart anyway, and they end up together and they're kissing in the last scene and the credits roll, and it's like, oh, they found each other and now they just are gonna live happily ever after. And we don't see what happens after that. And especially as folks who are truly raised in front of a television and maybe were obsessed with movies or looked to movies, and it happens in music as well, for some sort of signposting on how we're supposed to live, right? I mean, I think most of what I know about anything has come from media of some sort, but life keeps coming after those credits roll. If anything, the older we get, the more we face in terms of loss and degradation of our bodies. And the hope is that life has seasoned us enough to help us handle that stuff. But the truth is, we're never really done growing or changing. And as Whit says in the intro, the road is long and nonlinear, and our stories are never really finished until we're dead. And even then, like for me, when I'm dead, they might find my 8 screenplays that have not gone anywhere but just sat on my shelf, and they just start making my movies. And even though I'm dead, I finally sold the script.
And you live forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. That happens a lot, right? Like the ending is kind of romanticized. This is how it's all supposed to be.
Yeah.
So when reality hits after the ending,
yeah,
then things aren't as flowery. It's like, wait, that's not how it's supposed to.
I think this speaks to what our storyteller talks about too. This, he did 111, right? And the story gets released, and he has this link now that he can share with people. And there's this bit of relief that comes like, oh, I finally found a way to get this out of me. And, Whit and our editing team, they really produce this gift for storytellers where all of these years and trauma and people and things are just kind of condensed into this nice little package. And it feels good. You feel like, okay, I put a line under that. That part of me is over. What's next? And then you wake up the next day and you're like, well, now what do I do?
Yeah.
Because life keeps coming at you. You're not done. You're never done. And I almost said there's comfort in knowing that we're not ever done. Is there comfort? I don't know.
Go with it. Go with it.
Like, you get through one thing and like what's coming down the pike. You could say that is scary. And he talks about that a lot at the end. But the way to combat that is through persistence and faith. And I don't take faith as like faith in a God or a Bible or something like that.
Jesus Christ Almighty.
My Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Hail Satan.
What?
I look at that as faith that you're gonna get through it.
Oh, okay.
So,
as a sitter does. Okay.
So I loved in this episode how he does talk about the experience of going through the 111 episode. It's very cool, to hear his experience of all of that and that he felt safe through that. That always feels good to know that people felt that in that process. And he mentions this resentment at people who were supposed to lift him up and protect him. And there's all this unresolved trauma, constant alarm. And if it's like your body knows if you're not addressing it, and it keeps letting you know that it's there waiting to be addressed, it will persist. And so to go through a process like the show, he felt like he was like tackling that to a degree. And I think that is true. It can help alleviate some of that shouting in your deeper self. He mentions he found cheap therapy because apparently you can find therapists that are in school that'll do you for cheap or for free.
Like haircuts.
Is it like Paul Mitchell school or like dentist school?
That's how I used to get my haircuts.
At Paul Mitchell salon?
I don't know if it's Paul Mitchell, but yeah, if they go into their haircutting school, you can get your haircut for a lot cheaper or even free.
Yeah.
But there's a big risk, right? The haircut risk seems lower than the therapy risk. Yeah. I don't know. But I haven't tried the therapy.
I mean, I guess I intuited that this might exist, but I didn't know it for certain. So I'm just putting it out there. If we have any therapy students in our audience that needs a guinea pig or two.
Oh.
Gee.
Okay.
Just DM us or email us or something.
That's kind of a commitment, isn't it? Or what? To be committed? I mean, sorry. What'd I say?
Hopefully you don't end up committed.
Don't want to be committed. Yeah, I don't want to be. Do they have the power to do that? Anyway,
I think they do. I think anybody can commit anybody for like a 48-hour period, like a hold.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, so come at us if you just want to give us free therapy for practice.
Should we do like a you and me therapy with someone, or just me therapy and you therapy?
Do we have stuff we need to work out?
Oh no, I was just saying it wouldn't be fun if we both did it. Is that weird?
I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
We both know a lot about each other, so it might be helpful.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Have you ever been to therapy?
Yeah.
Okay, when?
Well, I did a bit marriage therapy, which...
Okay, is that the God therapy one? Was it with a priest or with a pet or with a... it was with a... Okay. Okay, great.
But it wasn't especially helpful. And then...
That didn't take, did it?
No, did not take. Could not push over that soda can. But I will say this, it did help me realize that I was definitely done in the relationship. So having that sounding board, being able to sit in a session with my ex hearing it and with the doctor hearing it and hearing me say the words aloud to a third party where I felt like it was a safe space, it did help me understand exactly what I was feeling. And yeah, it if anything, it put a final
nail in
the marriage coffin.
Okay, I thought you meant before. Okay, you mean after.
We did do a bit of premarital counseling with our pastor.
Yes. Okay, that's what yeah.
Also not helpful. I
don't know. That's sorry. It probably counts.
And then I have done counseling or therapy as an adult. However, this is going to sound terrible, but by the third session, I kind of realized I was smarter than her and she wasn't going to help me. And in fact, she started telling me her problems. I swear to God. So I ended that.
Did you go to another therapist? Or
I'm still I talk about it all the time. I want to. I know I need to.
I've been to like 5 or something.
You've been to 5 therapists?
Yeah.
How come you can't find one that you like?
No, this is a long time. I finally found one that I liked, and then I was with her for a couple of years.
What kind of stuff do you talk about?
I don't know, my life.
Oh.
My comedy routine and seeing what hits.
Let me try some material out on you. If you could. I get you for the hour, right? It's kind of like whatever I say
I'm just going to riff. I'm going to riff, okay?
So our storyteller, he felt like he could address part of his life and share it by sending a link. We talked about that. The comfort of explaining a difficult, painful, and significant portion of your development condensed into one link is nice. And that's the gift from TIAH. I think I said that already. But yeah, this whole like what you wake up the next day and what happens next. I feel like as a freelancer, I kind of feel this deeply. Tell me if you think this is a terrible comparison. But like production jobs, like in a freelance basis, you focus really hard and it's hard work and you stress and you finally get to it and do it and then you wrap out. And then if you don't have another job in the horizon, it's really easy to start getting really existential about what is supposed to come in your life next. So it's like we welcome the next stage to show up, and sometimes we don't know what that looks like. And it feels really stressful to not know what it's going to be. That's why we have things we call production hangover.
And you get hungover a lot. Production hungover, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, you get existential real fast. Like, what does it all mean? Am I in the wrong business? What have I done with my life up to this point? Et cetera, et cetera. And then someone calls you and you're like, oh, I'm okay.
Well, okay, cool. What was I stressing about?
So yeah, he keeps on the talk therapy, but this time he decides to add in
the cure-all.
Take a little pill. And can I just say real quickly, he mentions that he was forced to go off of a medication when he was uninsured, and I just think that's absolute bullshit.
I know.
I hate it when people lose meds when they lose insurance. Like this is chemistry that's fucking with your body and your mind.
Or her.
It's fucked because to go off it and on it and off it and on it, all based on if you're insured or if you can afford it, that turmoil is creating harm in your body and in your mind. I honestly think that we should get together a class action lawsuit and sue the federal government for keeping insurance from us all, or Medicare single payer healthcare from us all. And I think we could make the case that it is causing us bodily harm and mental stress and early death by making people choose to have therapy or meds or any kind of doctor visits based on whether they can afford it or whether there is insurance available. I think that we can make that case, especially considering there is money out there available to do it. And at this point, there is proof that it would in fact be cheaper if we went to a single payer healthcare system in this country. Every other industrialized nation on the planet does it. And I think that we should get some lawyers together and fucking sue the federal government. Can we do that?
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Okay. I mean, I can't do it.
After this, maybe.
And furthermore, I think that we should sue corporate polluters for fucking up all the weather. Let's sue everyone.
Yes, after that. Then we'll do that one next. We'll do that other one first.
Look, that first winter I was in Oakland, there was 35 days of rain, and I liked it. Where is the rain? Why is it so fucking hot?
Let's sue them.
No, but my point is, especially when it comes to a medication that your body has to get used to and be harmed when you get off of, it feels like there should be safety nets in place.
Yep.
And I think it should be a broad stroke like universal healthcare or single payer healthcare so that people don't have to face the harm that comes with going on and off medications. That's all. End rant.
And that was the trigger, right?
Well, he says that he loses his meds and he smokes a lot of spliffs, and then he goes back to talk therapy, and then he's offered a different sort of medication. Right. And this is when he's offered the California rocket fuel, which sounds amazing.
I don't know. This scares me a bit.
I am so curious to know what this feeling of California rocket fuel is and why it's specific to California. But this combination of medications brings him relief. He finds out his grandma passes almost at the same time, and he goes to Paris, and it's almost as if his depression has vanished, and he treats it less like a funeral trip and more like a vacation. And he says he bought some weed and went to Paris. And I do have a question about how you travel internationally with an illegal drug. Doesn't that seem risky?
Really risky.
Okay, I thought so.
I don't think, that doesn't seem...
You must have a method.
Well, I don't know.
I have flown with gummies, and even that's risky, I think.
Feels risky, right?
Yeah, because it's against federal law. And if you fly internationally and you're flying into a country that also says it's illegal, then you got the potentiality to have some trouble on your hand.
Really, yeah.
So he gets there, and there's some clues that start to erupt that kind of demonstrate this hypomania is happening. He says he's really animated and he's confident in his French. And he puts on this slideshow in the neighborhood, which I think is way cool, and I would totally...
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I would totally stop and watch that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like... his grandfather's a photographer. It's not like it's weird, shitty photos.
Like
right?
pictures from your vacay to Michigan.
Yeah.
It's probably got some fun ones in there. But it's got a lot... I mean, even the family stuff I would like to see.
Yeah.
Especially if they're old, they have that quality to them that's like captures a moment in time, the generation past.
I think it'd be really cool. I liked that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that too.
But yeah, you have to have a little bit of confidence there to like get it out there, set up the projector and have everybody...
Yeah, I imagine them like smoking a spliff. It's like, we'll project it on the wall and show it to the whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
And they go to a restaurant and he's ordering like a rich person. Like there's this grandiosity about him. Like, what is that? I know what he's talking about. To go into a restaurant and you feel like, okay, I'm going to splash out. And you're not even looking at prices. I mean, this is a rare occasion. Je peux tout vous acheter et vous vendre. Maintenant, apportez-moi plus de champagne et de caviar.
Wow. You're really confident in your French.
Can you tell what I said?
I know that it was confident.
I can buy and sell you. Now bring me more champagne and caviar. So, yeah, and this leads into this ruthless obsession with assets. And I think of his new personality, to me, just says, like, capitalist, the way he describes it.
Yeah.
Which tracks because it's like what does this say about capitalists and capitalism? That these are the kind of attributes that they have. He's like Mr. Potter in It's a Wonderful Life, who, spoiler alert, is the villain, okay? It's not how we prop these people up. But that's sort of what he sounds like. He's just like obsessed with money. He's ruthless. He's mean. He's cold. He's like, what's the bottom line? Give it to me, Bob. That's the kind of...
Yeah. But yeah, and he's more concerned about the inheritance and the actual loss, but he's feeling fine about it. I was like, oh no.
It's just like matter of fact. Like, let's get to the bottom line. How much am I getting? Yeah. And he says this isn't him. I mean...
Yeah, it changes his personality.
A lot of people are changed around money. That is true. And I know families have been ripped apart over things like this. It gets real nasty real fast.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like he came into money, though. It's like all of a sudden it's just his attitude about it.
Yeah.
Changed. It's probably safer if you've come into a lot of money to be acting that way.
Right. He just has the grandiosity and confidence without the money.
Cash to pay for it.
Right. I smoke my spliff. I go to a French restaurant. Oh, I've got dead relatives with apartments in Paris. Like,
Yeah.
he's about to be in a mover and a shaker or something. And it's just so contrary to really the heart of who he is. And this is him in a hypomanic state. And T, do you know what that means?
What hypomanic means?
Mm.
I guess not. I mean, I have a feeling about it that it feels more than manic.
Actually, it feels it is a bit less.
Oh, it's a bit less than manic?
Yeah. So,
research letter.
Thank you. A hypomanic state is a period of elevated mood and increased energy or activity that is less severe than mania, which prompted me to look up, well, what is mania? And mania is a period of abnormal mood, energy, or behavior that lasts at least a week and significantly impacts a person's functioning, and it is the key feature of bipolar disorder.
Oh my God. It lasts at least a week?
Yeah.
I thought they were going to say like a couple hours to a month or something. Whoa.
It can be really debilitating.
Jeez. Okay.
I mean, you can destroy relationships in a week easily.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he explains these symptoms to his doctor, and she diagnoses it for what it is and takes him off the meds. And what's scary about that is all of the things that follow that he explains happened after he went off the medication. So this is how impactful it is when it's in your system, and how much time it takes to come down from something like this. So Paris is bad enough, but then he comes home and his sister kicks him out of the house. He finds a room in another house, and he talks about this evening where he has this friend over, and he microdoses psilocybin, I believe, and he does this voice like Terrence McKenna. What did you think about his impression in the episode?
I mean, there's so many things. I was like, why is he doing that? And then it just sounded... It's just such a weird way to be communicating with someone using a voice when you're like not just joking. You know, when we use our little British accent, you use your little confident French accent. And it's just like a fun little joke, but it sounds like he just went on and on with this like nerdy voice just being mean.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like disturbing.
I looked it up on YouTube, and he does sound a lot like what he's describing. And yeah, imagine I'm being insulting and mean and hurtful and doing it in someone else's voice. I mean, what a bizarre situation.
I just think like laughing at it, like at himself, and just like, and if the friend just like, what's happening? It's like, okay, that was good.
Well, that was weird.
No one. Oh, he's still going.
Yeah.
You know, it must be very. That will aggravate. I'd be kind of pissed.
Well, it sounds like his friend was, but he's still in this. So the storyteller's like, well, he deserved that. He deserved that treatment, I guess.
Right.
So he's brash and overconfident, and it's a lot of bravado. It's like an adolescent intense energy, and then it's coupled with intense purpose. And to me, I know I already said he sounded like a capitalist, but this description feels like a film director to me.
Oh.
Or like a tech CEO, like full of bravado, kind of a teen boy, but then you think like the purpose of what you're doing is like world changing. I just thought it was interesting just to stand back and look at this and go, see how these personas aren't very likable? But he saw it as mystical. He goes on this Jeffrey Epstein Twitter poem rant.
That's a mouthful right there.
Yeah. And I get it. This is tapping into some of this hurt, this residual hurt that's still hanging out from what he talked about in 111, this betrayal from this mentor who sexually assaulted him. This hate poem was him feeling a kinship with victims. So it makes sense that it would come out in the hypomania to be triggered by something like Jeffrey Epstein, especially it being a man of a certain age. And he thought his Twitter ranting was going to bring him down But this is just all related to the illusions of grandeur that he has. Like, I'm going to take him down with some tweets.
Yes.
Which I'm not saying can't happen, unless it's happened, to take people down. And his housemates are feeling fairly uncomfortable around him. He's taking constant selfie videos. And he says he's constant self-monitoring, that's basically just what an influencer is right now, right?
I guess you're right. Does he post? I don't know if he's posting these things.
I don't think he's posting them.
He just has them. Gosh, man. I mean, that would be...
The next step is posting them, and then that's what an influencer is. It's just constant selfie pictures, selfie videos, and constant self-monitoring. And maybe you get to sell something as well.
Maybe, but I just imagine getting out of this manic state and seeing these videos. Like, it's just, I don't know what it would be like, but like maybe it's like
uncanny, otherworldly,
embarrassing, humbling. Like, I don't know, it'd be very hard to watch. I'd be like, delete. That's what I would do, but
yeah. So he says he has this love for humanity, but he's feeling apart and sort of special / alienated, and this results in no boundaries and lots of stranger interactions.
okay.
And he tells this Tinder story. It's hard out there already.
He's really sharing. I mean, if he's like listing out all the just humiliating things probably that he had done. I mean,
yeah, he's being really raw and open.
Yeah, it's amazing because it could have been just him and this girl who knows about this.
Right.
Now it's all of us.
Right. And good on her for saying, see ya.
Well, yeah.
Well, some of us might feel, ooh, he made us two become one. What a romantic.
So the Spice Girls would be into it?
Maybe. I mean, he cut and pasted his photos into her profile like they're emerging identities. So all of his friends are like, what the fuck? Is he bipolar? Yeah. Is it PTSD? And everyone is treating him like a parasite, and he lashes out because he just felt misunderstood. And he has so many adventures in his hypomania. It's really lucky that nothing really bad happened to him.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that he just comes away with these colorful stories is magnificent. He meets this exotic dancer, and he's going to be a rap producer. And again, this is another personality that's not good. Music producer. So capitalist, tech CEO, film director, music producer. Highly objectionable, morally corrupt, annoying, dismissive, egomaniacal, movers and shakers who abuse power and people for a greater purpose. And this is so undesirable in the context of a personality alone. But if you add in money and product, then people have high regard for these types of people. It's so fucked to me. He mentions the starry plow.
Yeah. I was like, oh, here we are. That's weird.
Back to reality.
I didn't know. You're just in some world.
Yeah. T and I have performed at the Starry Plow.
We sure have.
And not in the way that you think we have.
Now you should tell them because it wasn't comedy.
It was funny, though.
Wasn't it funny? I was like, why are people laughing? This is weird. We're singing a song.
It was one of our only shows in a band we were in called the Oakland Family Fight Singers. Have we ever talked about this on the pod?
I don't think so. How funny.
Yeah.
I think we made like $114 that day.
I think it was like $175.
What? Okay.
That was quite embarrassing. I feel like I'm always off key, but I felt especially off key that night. It's a tiny stage, too, and there's lots of lights. Yeah. Well, you're a good singer.
Oh.
It's different when you're not. And you just want to be part of the group.
Can I come? Yeah.
I
Yeah.
guess Elly wants to come.
Sure.
But that's not what our storyteller does. He tells Holocaust stories in Terence McKenna voice, and he says his back is to the audience the majority of the time. It's just, what a crazy visual. Ironically, I feel like it's something I probably would have enjoyed.
Like an art performance.
Yeah.
Was this open mic? Is that what? Yeah, open mic.
He went there with some guy named Bilbo, and then what was the other guy's
Sasquatch?
name? Sasquatch and Bilbo. Sasquatch, Bilbo, and Terence McKenna walk into a bar. You know, what's going to happen? He's out and about dosing people with gummy tea. He meets a psychotic with a shopping cart, and he does this dramatic clapping. I imagine it's like Mr. Miyagi in the locker room when he's trying to heal Daniel's leg. I mean, and this is kind of what's cool about him. This hypomania has taken this shift from like terrible adolescent tech CEO to he wanted to be among society's most disregarded, which is fascinating. But is it still in the interest, or is his interest? Is it still coming from the same place? Like he has no fear and he feels connected to everything. Is that what it is? They hug, they're dancing. Yeah. He thinks he's a lost prince. He gives him his shoes. I mean, this is like an incredible images back to back. And I feel like this persona of wanting to be a man of the people is the other side of the coin of wanting to be the capitalist, the villain, the mover and shaker. Is it two sides of the same coin?
It does seem that way. Though I think also maybe they felt more welcoming to him.
Or maybe his overconfidence made him feel superior to them in some way. So there was no fear that they could, that he was like some magnanimous giver. Like, I am here among the people. I am going to dose you with the gummy tea and I will give you my shoes. Like almost like a Christ complex or something.
All of it just makes me feel uncomfortable, you know?
It's a spectacle, that's for sure. He's losing weight. He's poor. He's using his mom's money to buy whatever. He's sleeping in hotel rooms. He's embarking in strange behavior because everything to him is about solving a puzzle. He fancies himself as Neo in the Matrix. Watch out. He's a healer. He's a prophet. And just like it is two sides of the same coin, that's why he deems this the summer of love and hate. It really is up and down extremes. And it is quite lucky he didn't get in real trouble or arrest or injury. And because there is a piece of him in there that's still himself, he manages to have some self-awareness. I think even the fact that he could notice when he was hurting people speaks to how self-aware he is, maybe when he's not in a hypomania, that was still in him. Like he wasn't so in it that he couldn't see people's reactions to him. Like he was still aware. Maybe he disregarded them, but at least he could see and acknowledge the reactions of people. At any rate, it took months for him to come down.
Man.
Despite being off of the med. That is fucking terrifying.
That is very. I mean, our brains.
Drugs.
They can F with you.
It is quite scary. And he says it himself. One wire gets crossed, one pill gets taken. You know, we can't anticipate what is around the bend. And it could send everything into complete destabilization. Luckily, he has this soft landing in a place that's booked by his mom. It sounds like a rehab of sorts.
Yeah.
And this is where he's sort of putting the pieces together of everything that he's been through. And he is coming down and coming off a drug like that or coming out of a mania like that. You are going to fall into deep, deep sadness. It's so difficult to go from such high to such a low.
Gotta balance itself somehow.
Yeah. He knew he needed real help. he goes through this and he's burnt out and he finds a room and he's still smoking a lot of weed and he tracks down friends, but he knows that he feels lost again and he really needs real help. And he gets booked into another place, and this sounds more cultish as he describes it. And he knows himself enough to know that he says he could have been a kid that joined a cult.
Totally.
And that's a level of awareness to know yourself, to know that you're subject to groupthink like that. I always wonder, if I hadn't grown up in a cult, would I have sat out a cult at some point?
What do you mean sat out?
Sought out.
Oh, sought out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why would you seek one out? Do people seek out cults? Do you feel like you would have?
I think people seek out frameworks that tell them how to live.
Yeah.
And I think that usually is wrapped up in something cult-like. And it could be a wide range, from spirituality to a diet to a workout plan to, anything where balance is thrown out the window and you're just like kneeling and bowing to this thing you think is going to save you, or this thing that's going to tell you how to live so you don't have to think for yourself. I think is when you're
so much easier. Yeah.
That's what religion is all about. Oh, I can't make sense of all of this. It's too much. Oh, you have a list?
Oh, yeah.
Rules and regulations?
I've got all the answers over here.
Oh, sign me up.
Yeah.
Oh, I just have to pay 10%? Okay, sounds good.
10% isn't much, is it?
And I get eternity and heaven? Okay. Yeah. That sounds pretty good. Yeah, I always wonder that.
It kind of worked out for me that I was distracted by a religion I didn't believe in.
Yeah.
So I had to stay within that. So I'm not trying to find something else because I had to go to the things.
You realized that was enough for you.
Well, it's more like I didn't have time or energy to go seek something else out because I had to do all this other stuff, but I didn't believe in any of that.
Catholicism keeps you busy.
It does.
That's what they say.
But to go here, there, always. Now it's choir, now it's you're pretty busy.
The standing, the kneeling,
oh my God,
the sitting,
so
the bowing, the counting. Yeah.
The words.
Yeah.
Memorizing the words, then say the words a lot. Say them every day.
They keep you busy.
50 times a day, like that kind of craziness.
It's a good business model.
It's really good.
It'll keep you from exploring other things, including yourself.
Yeah. So I think I dodged a bullet there because I feel like I could have probably gotten into a cult.
If you had had more time, you might have been able to explore. Do you think of Catholicism as a cult?
Let
me ask you this. Are all mainstream religions cults?
Big ones, maybe. But it's not just religion. There's cults everywhere, right?
No, there's all kinds of cults. So he stays at this place for 6 months. He's really lucky, the support he has. And in recovery, he has this fear of oblivion, what we were just talking about. There's this potentiality for your wires to get crossed. You have the wrong pill. We could fall into oblivion at any time. That's scary how fragile we truly are. And when you are that afraid, you tend to turn to a God. That's how desperate he was. He prayed to God.
Pretty desperate.
He talked about meditation.
This sounds nice.
It does.
Research alert.
T, do you know
what?
Do you know what meditation is?
Is it meditation that people do on Facebook? Done.
Well, for spelling purposes, it is METTA.
Oh, metta.
Yeah. In Pali, a language that's closely related to Sanskrit and spoken in northern India, metta means positive energy and kindness toward others. The practice is also known as loving kindness meditation. The goal of metta meditation is to cultivate kindness for all beings, including yourself and family. So that tracks with what he's saying. He had to develop a compassion for self.
I like that.
I do too. I have trouble with that for myself. I feel like I'm too easy on myself. As much as I hate myself, I do feel like I go too easy on myself. I was talking to my sister the other day and she's like, oh, I just want you to have grace for yourself. And I was like, no, I give myself too much. I feel like I give myself too much grace. I need to be harder on myself. I rest on my laurels too much. I'm a lazy piece of shit. I'm a lazy sack of shit. That's what I'm saying.
You say that a lot.
I know.
I have to disagree.
I know. You always do. I appreciate it.
Well, you've got a lot going on.
Yeah, but...
I mean, I know you watch a lot of movies and sit on your couch a lot, but you've got a lot you're working on. Projects in the mix, right?
I'm just trying to make it through.
Well, it doesn't seem lazy. That's not the word I'd use.
Thank you. He does go through a 12-step program of sorts, and I think the most attractive quality of a 12-step program is admitting powerlessness. I think there is something comforting at admitting that you don't have any power. It's scary, but just knowing that the universe or your body, your mind is going to do what it will, I think there's something comforting in that. He confronts his parents. He has a plan, and something just shifts in him, and he is rebuilding himself and gaining self-esteem, and he's making amends. And he talks also about his recovery, how it's nonlinear and episodic.
Yeah.
And you never know what's going to be coming down the pipe, so you have to be comfortable in the uncertainty. And the keys to do that are to be persistent and to have faith. What does that mean to you, T?
I think it's good. It's a good way to be, because unexpected things are going to happen all the time. And you have to be able to react reasonably without your whole world turning upside down. In my work too, we have projects that are only like 4 to 6 weeks long. So I am always, it's not freelance at all because I, steady, but it changes. Everybody I have to talk to or convince or whatever totally changes. I go and I build trust, and they trust me, and we have a great time, and then it's done. And I have to do it over again and over again. And that in between part, kind of like similar to freelancing, it's just like, should I reach out, or is there something else? And if I'm not busy for, a day or two, it's probably not good. Anyway, there's a lot of uncertainty there all the time.
Yeah, I bet.
And then you never know what the hell's going to happen with kids.
What do you think he means by be persistent? Like, what's a real world example of that?
I wonder if it is being a little bit more forgiving with yourself, or like reassuring yourself and being persistent with that.
Yeah, I think it's like even in the dark doldrums, you have to keep showing up for yourself. You wake up and you're like, okay, I'm going to do this again today. Like, I'm going to keep at it. Like, I'm not going to give up. And I think it falls along the same lines as consistency. I think that we can battle the uncertainties that come down our pike if we are consistent in things that make us feel good, or, like eating healthy or exercise. Like, if you're putting that work in the downtime, when something hard comes down the pike and like all of a sudden, oh shit, I need my body to show up for me, or I need my mind to show up for me, because you've been doing that consistent practice of feeding yourself, hopefully you'll be your best version to get through or to weather that uncertainty. And then this portion of have faith is just that. Know that this too shall pass, and you'll get through it. It's not going to break you. And it may very well do, but that's not a way to take on the challenge. It's good to have that attitude of we're going to make it until all hope is lost. But definitely have faith until you can't have faith no more.
And pray.
And if that means...
And pray a lot. That's what my mom would say.
Yeah. You got to pray just to make it today.
That's what my mom says.
Pray. Yeah, you can have faith. And if it's hard for you to imagine having faith in yourself, you can have faith in a God that's going to hold you. Gonna look with that. And the other big key to recovery is you have to address childhood hurts.
Mm-hmm. You can't just ignore it. It's always there.
The fights you fight today are the fights you fight into the day you die. There is stuff wrong with the world. And you can drill down further and get into yourself. What is wrong with me or what happened to me? It's almost too much to take on. Hopefully I can at least start with me. But it's really daunting to look at the world writ large and go, well, how do we face that? How do we deal with that? How do we solve or combat those problems? I guess if we're all just dealing with ourselves, the other will naturally come.
Sure.
Okay. Got to keep the faith. I thought this was interesting too. He draws this line, you know, his mentor / abuser that made him feel all important or like a prophet.
Yeah.
And then this mania brought this up again, and his fall from it revealed how it was all totally an illusion from the get-go.
Yeah.
And what the lesson he really learns here is there's no one better than anyone else. And what incredible lesson to learn or takeaway to have from all of these experiences, and to be able to kind of take what happened to him as a teenager and be able to address the illusion in it.
I mean, because it probably feels good when you're like treated in that way.
Yeah, you want to hear that
and
shit.
You like that.
And when you're that age, you're all ego, you're all id,
Yeah.
and you struggle with acceptance, but you also struggle with wanting to set yourself apart from your peers or be special. And to have someone that you respect and look up to tell you that you are the most important, that you are different and you are set apart, it's hard to reject that. So to get to be an adult and look at it plainly for what it was, to know that it was a manipulative tactic that he was using to groom him, and to be able to address it and stomp it out, I think is really, truly amazing, healing.
Mm-hmm.
He took 3,000 pics that summer, and a lot of them are crying. Why? What do you think inspires someone to take a picture of themselves crying and not send it to anyone or like use it for manipulative purposes, but just to record it?
A lot of people post themselves crying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Sad cringe.
Yeah.
Subreddit.
It's like, okay. I don't know. He was so
Look at how sad you've made me.
Yeah. He was so self-involved, you know, anything and everything he wanted to document.
Yeah. Yeah, it was about documentation. Do you feel that something was stolen from you as a child and you have to grieve what could have been?
Me?
Yeah.
Personally?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, do you care to talk about it?
Oh, I don't know. A lot of times I think about the whole religion piece and how it stunted, I think, my growth as a person and as someone who could find love with another woman, that kind of thing. Certainly put me in the closet that way. And also, I don't know, it made me, you know, judgy on myself for a long time because I had those feelings. So I thought I was a bad person or I was going to hell, those kinds of things. But it's like, F you already, you know, I don't need this from religion or my parents, you know. I could probably do this myself and judge myself. Yeah. I mean, I think like some years were stolen of me being just me and to hit like your authentic self, right?
Yeah.
I was not my authentic self for a long time because I had to hide.
Do you feel like you've grieved that thing that was stolen from you and sort of in a way let it go? Or do you feel like you carry deep resentment about it?
I think I've grieved some. I think my deep resentment does get reflected on my mom a lot.
Yeah.
So it's not good. But I've had, you know, I had years of therapy where I talked about stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I still have that feeling towards my mom where I don't think, unless I continued therapy, and it's not healing my feeling towards her. It just comes out, you know.
I will say, though, as a person that's known you for a significant amount of time in your adult years, you have softened a lot with your mom.
Well, okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You used to be pretty rigid about your disdain.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean, I don't outwardly. I mean, I visit her twice a week probably, and we hang out twice a week. I'm not just going to be yelling at her the whole time. We'll hang out.
Right. It's not a way to
You
live.
know, let her hang out with the kids.
And to her credit, she has come around on her thinking.
Oh,
And
yeah.
she does accept you and Gwen fully.
Oh, fully.
And I think she feels terribly about her past points of view that she used to have and that were put upon her, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think she has the self-awareness to put all of that together at the end, they said. I think she feels bad because now she's like, oh, no, I'm totally cool with it now. But she's not like, I
was brainwashed.
Yeah. Yeah. She's not going
Yeah,
there.
maybe not that part, but she's
still praying her rosary every day.
I know, but because she loves you so much, she did so much soul searching around at least the gay issue. And I think she has completely changed 180 degrees from when you were little. And it's not just accepting of you, I think accepting as gay on the whole.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
It's a big deal for a woman that age to make that kind of shift.
No, I agree.
Yeah. Give a woman a break. I mean, I'm mad at her for other reasons, but yeah, same for me. Like, it's really, I feel like looking back, there was this lack of importance put on higher education. Like, I really had to fight to go to college. And then this sexual purity component was forced upon me. And so I feel like it forced me to be a child bride. I mean, I was 22, but it's like a baby.
Well,
it caused this trajectory in my life that I wasn't supposed to have, that I felt like I was trying to live beyond, but I didn't have the confidence or the language to escape it early enough. It just took me longer. And I do have deep resentment for it.
Yeah.
And listening to our storyteller today and thinking about what he said, I really realized that I need to grieve it and let it go.
Yeah.
And I can't keep carrying it with me. So he struggles with judgment and wanting to be right. I also have the same feelings. And it's not to be right to prove someone else wrong. It's more to prove that I'm not a failure or a fuck up. It's rarely about the other person. And it is because of the absolutely fragile sense of self acknowledged. And because sometimes it's funny to be judgmental. He has a lot of wonderful takeaways at the end. I wrote almost all of them down.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing he says, this last takeaway, is how do you move from self-loathing to self-acceptance? What's one thing about you that you really love about you?
Oh. When I think about it, there's so many. Just kidding. I'm really trying to think of one. I think I'm really accepting of others. I like that. And like, or not accept, but like, I have a lot of empathy towards others, and I tend to care about that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think I'm funny.
Yeah, you are. And this is a practice he's talking about. If you can begin by saying, like, starting to say, well, I like this about myself, I like that about myself, you are starting to build up that self-acceptance. And that's what he ends his episode with. That is what he ends with, self-acceptance, with the acknowledgement that shit might go south again.
Yeah.
We might be hearing from him another 6 years, but that's just part of it. We try to live in peace and happiness as much as we can, but shit comes up, and this ain't a fairy tale world. There's no happily ever after.
Just keeps going.
We just keep on trucking.
But you didn't say what you love about yourself.
Oh, I feel like I look out for strangers.
No, it is.
Like, for example.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Not like I walk up to a stranger and I'm like, hey, brother, can I get you a meal or some shoes? More like I tend to find a lot of stray kids that have been separated from their parents in public places for some reason. I don't know. I just noticed
too.
I notice human suffering and dog suffering.
You've done that.
And
You've done that.
Try to reunite. Or like I'm conscientious driver, and if I see someone struggling to get into the lane, I'll stop to let them in. Little things like that where I take pride in that I'm trying to make it easier for people around me as much as I can. Because honestly, I don't really like people that much, so I feel like that's almost my penance.
I feel this obligation
to be a little kinder when I'm out in public.
What's happened? Why? What happened? Do you need something like that?
What? Okay. Where's your mother? Where's your
mom? Where's your mom? You lost your mom? What's the phone number? Do you have a phone number or something? You're so annoyed.
Thank you for listening. This has been an episode of Trauma Bonded. You can find our show where podcasts are kept. Please rate and review us. Thanks to Anonymous for sharing their story and giving us the opportunity to talk about it. Thanks to the This Is Actually Happening team, including Whit, Missildine, and Andrew Waits, and the maker of our music and website, Nathaniel Trimboli. And thanks to Cathy Sitzes for editing this episode and Katie Capel for building those blasted Instagram posts. Please subscribe to us at YouTube. You can contact us at Gmail. You can find us on Instagram. You can go to our website. We are here to listen. Come listen with us. We are trauma bonded to the story, to the storyteller, to the listeners, and to each other. Thanks for spending time with us today. Love you, T.
Love you, Elly.